Like, we got this room, y'all gonna have that room.
Yeah, we've got to find.
And somebody was supposed to be at Spencer.
Good morning. Good morning. How's it going? I'm doing well. Doing well. Fall feels like it's back in the end.
Huh?
Fall feels like it's back in the end.
No, considering it was 75 freaking degrees.
Right.
Hold on, let me get my computer set up. Okay. My phone has been a buzzing. Nope, they will not. Pete is not coming. Writing tools.
All right. We ready? Are we
Yeah.
streaming? All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 9:01 Tuesday, November 8th. I'd like to welcome everybody to the New Hanover County Board of Education Policy Committee meeting. It should be a quick and substantive meeting. Ms. Joy, can you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Boyer,
Here.
Ms. Craybill,
Here.
and Mr. Wildebohr.
All right, a quorum is present. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Approve the agenda.
I will second.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I will second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to add policy 3300, which is the school calendar and timing. And the reason for that, Mr. Boyer, is because we need to have the language about the committee match the language in policy 2230 that we adopted 2 meetings ago.
Okay, I will second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion is agreed to. Now we need to vote on the approval of the agenda as amended. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No. Oh, sorry. No.
Agenda is approved. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Approve the minutes as presented.
I will second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda are policy amendments from the North Carolina School Boards Association. Should we begin with policy 3300 or?
No, I wanted to do that last, just so we can get done with the ones that we know about.
Okay. The first policy up for discussion is policy 2400, board policies. Is there any discussion on 2400 board policies?
The only reason we pulled that one back out was, that we couldn't get through with it, was in the last sentence of paragraph 1, where it says all policy decisions will be made while keeping in mind the board's objective to provide, and I wanted to insert all students with the opportunity to receive a sound basic education. That seems to be a theme, throughout all the Leandro stuff, so I just wanted to put the word all in there. And I don't know why we couldn't agree on that last time, but that was the reason that I have written down that we kept it out.
Okay, is there any discussion from staff? I have no problem with that.
Does it change anything? Anybody? Okay. So it would just be all right before students on that line 4.
Okay, so we can move policy 2400 forward for amendment.
Yes.
And we'll vote on these in mass at the end, if that's
Yeah.
okay. Next policy up for discussion is policy 3430, school improvement plan.
Yes, so that one, we had a question. Since that one related to policy 2400, we needed to, hold that one back. And then my only question was on page 2, B1, the second paragraph, where it says, where it talks about the makeup of the school improvement team, and it said at least 5 parents attending the school need to be on there. And so I do remember, I brought this up when we first adopted this one, and was given assurances by the district person responsible for school improvement plans that there were 5 parents on a team, and I would beg to differ with that some schools barely even have 1. So I don't think we should require 5. What the statute says is that we have to have parents that are representative of racial and socioeconomic of the school. So we can put those words in if we want, or we could say at least 1 parent, because you have to have a parent on there. But however we want to say that, I just think that 5 is not the right number.
So when I was looking over the policy, I questioned the 5 as well, because it's unusual for a school to have 5. I personally have not seen that, but, and the statute does not say that. It does talk about 2 big things when you're talking about parents, is the racial makeup matching the school, and also making sure the timing of the meetings, and the last thing would be, there was one more thing I was going to say.
To assure substantial parent involvement too.
Right, to make sure
Convenient times,
make sure
right.
you have the parents there. So it's not anything about, the ballots,
Yeah.
where they're elected. So
could it-
5
So
is
we
not,
can't
it's not a
have,
number.
we can't have 1.
But
If
could it-
racial makeup is a concern, we can't have 1, but maybe 2 or
So
3?
could it read, and parents of students attending the school? Without a number?
And this is Jason Weber.
Hey, Jason.
Council Board, good morning, everyone. The statute says, and parents of children enrolled in the school.
Right.
So I agree that parents plural means there can't be only 1. But if you were to track the statutory language, which is what the School Boards Association model policy does, it would, that means it could be 2, it could be 5, anything more than 1. And then, each team at each school might be a little bit different, but they would all be consistent with the statutory requirement. And with regards to the makeup of the parents, the policy references the requirements in the statute. So I don't believe you need to add language around, reflecting the socioeconomic composition. That's all incorporated by reference with the statutory reference.
I would
So should we
recommend
put at
that
least 2?
I would recommend that we strike, and at least 5, and just say, and parents of students attending the school.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest as well.
Okay.
Just put parents, and I think, because each school is, I just think, I agree with that, parents.
So just mark out at least 5. I think that would be the change.
Yep.
Yes, that'd be great, because that would be a hardship, especially for smaller schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and 5 was a carryover from boards way before us on that. And the other question I had, Jason, maybe you can help. If we move down into that paragraph about, it's the second line under where you see the statute numbered out. The school improvement team, especially at the middle and high school levels, also is encouraged to seek input from students. So does seek input from students mean that they should be on the team, or that it's okay to invite them to the team?
Well, I think it's at the discretion of each team as to how they seek input, and that could be through student surveys, inviting student representatives to provide input or attend meetings, but not to be members of the teams themselves.
Okay. So then, and the last thing I had on that was, it was policy, when, let me see, it's on page, I'm sorry, it's on page, crap, I do have these marked. On page 3, it's letter B, number 2, letter H, where it says the plan, the second sentence, third sentence, the plan should include the components of any positive behavior management or positive behavior support programs that have been adopted at the school and should comply with the policy, the 1510. Does that not include also like the policies in the 4300s, like student behavior? And
Look, it definitely includes that. I'm just trying to figure out where you are. What page are you on? Page 3?
I'm on page
where?
3, letter capital B, number 2, lowercase h.
Yours is number.
And so those were the words that caught my attention. But when I looked in the references at the back, there are no 4,300 policies referenced. So I just wanted to see if we should add that.
Which ones?
I don't.
Julie would be the one to tell us.
Technically, in the school improvement plans, if they have a school, so let's say if they're practicing if they're PBIS school, they'll usually put documentation in there.
Right.
But if they're not going to put the PBIS, they'll put whatever maybe possibly their plan, their school-wide behavior plan that's in there. But I'm not certain, all of our schools are not, do we practice PBIS as a district here?
Not specifically by label, no.
Okay.
We practice positive, proactive, supportive processes, but not necessarily subscribe to positive behavior intervention supports.
Okay.
I do want to mention that policy 4200 is really focused on school safety with regard to supervision of students, supervision of visitors, supervision of the campus, but then it also includes the student behavior standards, and that policy 4200 references the 4300 series of student behavior standards, so it kind of scales it up.
It does do, okay. I just wanted to make sure that if we're referencing, and then we are pulling in all the things we're doing.
Yep.
Okay. So that's all I had for that one.
All right, so we will move policy 3430 on for amendment to the board meeting on December 5th? 6th, all right. All right, our next policy up for discussion is 3610, our counseling program. I will begin with Ms. Varnum. Ms. Varnum, did you have anything here?
I don't have anything. I think all of the changes are quite appropriate, so I don't have anything in specific to bring to light.
Okay, Ms. Crable?
Yes, what we discussed at the last meeting, and we talked about this one after you had to leave the call, Julie, is two things. One, in letter A, capital letter A, where we were talking about all the different kind of in the second round. Well, let me just read it. Where it says prior to 9th grade, students will be informed about the course requirements for regular and accelerated college entry. And we talked about putting in the words post-second and other post-secondary opportunities, so that we didn't exclude anybody going into the workforce or the military.
So the intent behind that language and that next sentence where it says, school counselors shall encourage ninth grade students to complete these requirements for college entry in less than 4 years is mirrored behind State Board Policy Grad 006. And that State Board policy is specifically geared toward accelerating the experience in high school for students to move on to the college. So I don't think if it's the board's intent to broaden that, but the accelerated access is really for college-going students, not necessarily world of work. But I don't know that anything prohibits you from adding that in.
Okay, so I had suggested, or somebody else, it wasn't me, I brought this up and somebody else, in the wording, and maybe it was even Jason, to say post-secondary opportunities, so that it was kind of broad. But if it's going to go against a statute, then
I'm going to double check our graduation requirements policy real quick on accelerated.
Okay.
And Jason may have something to add in.
And to Ms. Barnum's point, and that's a good point, these two sentences are about essentially graduating early, right, for purposes of entering college. And I don't know, Ms. Barnum, you can fill us in on whether there are options under state board policy to graduate early and enter the world of work, as you put it. I don't believe there are. If Ms. Crable, the goal is to make sure that counselors are working with students and providing guidance on all post-secondary opportunities, that might be more appropriate to include somewhere else instead of in these particular sentences related to, as I read it, early graduation. And there might be a better place to do that in this policy. I'm trying to think of where.
So in our policy 3460 on graduation requirements, we don't specify that it's specifically toward moving into the college world. So our policy on early graduation says students wishing to graduate from high school in less than 4 years may request permission to complete their graduation requirements on an accelerated schedule. And then it really is about the approval for that accelerated graduation plan. I am, though, going to cross-reference something that because that policy requires their approval of an accelerated schedule, and we have just created an approval process, and I do want to make sure that doesn't require college going. Nope, this one says the student must have definite acceptable purposes and goals for early graduation, i.e. entrance into a post-secondary institution, a full-time job commitment, or enlistment in the armed forces. So actually your recommendation circles back to our approval process, and it doesn't seem like there is anything inconsistent with that.
okay, so do we add the words post-secondary opportunities in letter A or no?
Sure.
Yes, I think that's
Okay.
fine. I just had to triangulate that to make sure.
Because I know we've talked about it several times in there, so, okay,
So after entry, add, and other post-secondary opportunities.
yeah.
Okay?
And then the other thing that we talked about in there, which is probably the main reason that this one got held back, was in letter B, in the wording that was submitted by the NCSBA in the second paragraph. Mr. Wildebohr had issue with the second sentence where it said, parents will be notified of the right to opt their students out of participation in certain group academic or career guidance or personal or social counseling services of a generic nature.
And he wanted opt-in?
He, yes, and he didn't like social counseling.
I have no problem with it.
He didn't know, I mean, I think I'm okay with the wording on this.
I'm fine with the wording.
I just wanted to make sure, since he is not here, that we at least brought it back up again.
Fine with the wording.
Do what?
I'm fine with the wording,
Okay,
as is.
okay.
All right. So we will move policy 3610 on to the board with amendments for the December 6th meeting. Our next policy up for discussion, not a fun one, policy 4240, child abuse and related threats to child safety. Ms. Farnham?
Yes, this one is also rather straightforward, changing of some acronyms and division names. The additions are consistent with processes that we have anyway. We do have we have procedures for making reports or otherwise implementing the policy. And I think there was a question about the materials.
Yes, it was letter H.
So because this is related to general statute that was passed and state board policy that was passed, DPI did send us the posters and handouts that are recommended, that are consistent with the general statute and the state board policy. So I have a copy of the poster that would be used in our high schools, and then also the handout that would be provided to our students. And it is all consistent with our policies. There's nothing that stands out that's inconsistent with regard to definitions or language.
Can we make sure that those posters are available for the incoming board?
Sure, and they do already exist in our schools
I
because
know.
when DPI sent them out, we made sure that they were in the schools, yes.
I think that would be important for the December 6th meeting. But I appreciate it. Anything else? Ms. Crable, do you have anything on this
No,
policy?
that was the only reason that this one was held back.
Okay, thank you very much for getting that. We appreciate it. So policy 4240 will be moved forward without amendment, or I guess with the already written amendments. All right, thank you very much. Policy 4400, attendance. Ms. Varnum?
I'm not sure why I keep moving the mic away. Attendance. This, again, some cleanup. We do communicate the attendance procedures for remote instruction, and we do comply with the coding and the appropriate coding for quarantine or isolation. And also, this does include our latest policy changes that were made in October. So I don't have any other suggestions or edits.
I had two things that I wanted to ask about. One is in letter C, excused absences, the last sentence when it says when total absences for a student, excused or unexcused, exceeds 10 days per semester. That in that clause, do we need to be more specific? In total means per day or per class? Because at high school, they have different, they have to be in the class, each class.
Right, that would be per class.
Yeah.
Because our high schools calculate attendance, generally attendance calculated on full day is not accurate per course. So we look at period absences.
So is the word total, is that descriptive enough?
I think so.
Yeah, for high school, it is.
I think so. I don't, and thank you, Dr. Faison. So when we are looking at, we would look at a period, and our process for this is also consistent with the administrator and the team coming together. And if it's a period class or a particular class, they will address that even if the student has been present for all of a previous period and later period.
Okay, I just want to make sure on that one.
That's the language we use throughout. So this is going to be an expectation of high school. This is what they're used to.
Okay,
So, yeah.
just making sure that we don't get stuck in a little clause that, and then another question was in letter D, number 5, and where it says career and technical student organization activities approved in advance by the high school, by the principal. So I know that there is specific wording in the law about career and technical, but do we need to say, or is it implied somewhere, that other student organizations are also, their activities could also be excluded, like Science Olympiad, Battle of the Books, or is that included in school initiated, school scheduled?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that would be included in those above. And one of the reasons that career and technical is set apart is that those student organizations often comply with or correlate with the credits for those particular courses.
Yeah, and so that, I mean, I knew that part, but I didn't know if there were any other student organizations that we wanted to make sure were included. But that would probably come under, I was thinking, under number 3. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, one more thing. In E, letter E, number 2, lowercase d, is there a reason why we are now using the word lawful and unlawful versus excused and unexcused?
No, I don't know that there has been a reason to choose that language, but that is consistent with compulsory attendance law. But I think it'd be appropriate if it was consistent with excused or and unexcused.
Yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
recommend, just for consistency purposes.
I'm not sure that was purposeful on my part.
Is that ours or is this the one that's written from the state?
That's ours.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's make that change then. Let's say when total absence is excused and unexcused to maintain consistency. And is that it?
Yep, it is.
Okay, policy 4400 attendance will move forward to the December 6th meeting with amendments. Our next policy up for review is policy 4720, surveys of students. I have a pretty good idea about why this might have been held over. I'll let Ms. Varnum begin.
This one, again, is rather straightforward and don't have any recommended changes.
Was this about parental
This
notification
was
and
about,
opt-in?
yeah, it was about letter A, where my notes were, letter A, number 2, lowercase c, the last sentence where it says, the parent or eligible student must be given the opportunity to opt out. And the question from Mr. Wildeboer was he wanted opt-in. We couldn't agree, so it came here again. So I'm perfectly fine with the wording.
I'm fine with the wording.
Okay,
Is that it?
yeah.
Okay, let's move policy 4720, survey of students forward to the December 6th board meeting. And then we will discuss policy 3300.
Okay, so
Do
in
we have that pulled up?
Yeah, I'm sorry this wasn't in your packets, folks, but I was just kind of going back through my notes and realized that this was one that we put on hold. We had up for a vote in policy consensus last time, and the board couldn't come to an agreement on that. So if you look in, we just adopted policy 2230, and in that, under the board advisory committees, number 2 is the calendar committee. And so I'll just read that to you, or it's up there so we can see it. It's number 2, and it says, the committee is comprised of 2 board members, must have at least 1 representative from each of the following groups: senior leadership team, central office staff, teachers, principals, parents, and students from each of the school levels. So that, that leaves room for, a lot of different people to be included on that. And so that was approved on October the 18th. So if we come back over to policy 3300, under, it's the new letter B, the calendar committee, words that are inserted by the NCSBA shall draft the calendars. The committee will be chaired by a member of the board and must include a senior leadership team member, a teacher, a parent, and a principal from each of the school levels. So that is where we have been in contradiction the whole entire time. So the board had decided with the board committees that the chair of the calendar advisory committee would be the school system subject matter expert. In this case, right now, it's Dr. Faison. So whoever that person is going forward.
So I'd say the committee will be chaired by a member of the Central Office Administration. And then-
Yes, and I basically.
Or actually, let's just say the superintendent's designee.
Well, I basically wanted it to kind of be the same language as we have in policy 2230. So
fine.
Jason, do you have a recommend? Jason had recommended taking it out of one of the places, but, so would you?
Right, this is Jason. So right now, the two policies have different language regarding the composition of the committee. My recommendation would be to either align them so they're exactly the same, or to take it out of 3300. The board is not required to include this language in its calendar policy, and
Take it
the
out.
School Boards Association model also takes it out. If you leave it in both, you'll just have to remember it's in two places and make sure it matches up if there are any changes in the future.
I would take it out. This is about the school calendar and time for learning anyway. The makeup of the committee is
Yeah.
unnecessary.
So
let's just-
take out the first two sentences, or the first sentence, the calendar committee will draft school calendars for the ensuing school year to be presented for board approval. Strike out the next sentence and then say any calendar adopted by the board will be consistent with the requirements of the statute and other applicable legal requirements.
So.
Is that good,
so,
Jason?
Given what the committee recommended and what the board is considering, I think we'll have to make sure, or the next board will have to make sure that they discuss policy 3300, because according to our policy, the calendars that we adopt will have to be consistent with the requirements of state law. And the one
Well,
that is
right,
being
yeah,
considered
yeah.
is not. So we would be in violation of our own policy.
Well, yeah, but this policy right here is just, we're just talking about this one.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I'm saying. I
are
would-
those words good by just striking out the middle sentence?
Yeah.
Can I add, or ask the question, and I'm going back and forth, I apologize, between 3300 and 22, the other one. It has about
2230?
attendance.
I'm sorry?
The board policy
Yeah.
has about attendance.
Yeah.
Can we add that to the calendar, or if we're gonna make it in one place, can we make sure the attendance piece remain?
Yeah, the attendance piece is in policy 2230.
But it's not in 3300. I just wanted to make sure, I didn't know if somebody was saying we were taking one and we were taking it out of one place. I just want to make sure, because I don't see it in 3300 with the calendar. And I know that's something that the committee has been concerned about, is the lack of attendance of some members. So I just want to make sure that remains the same.
Yeah, that will be the same.
Yeah.
That's
oh, yeah.
not being affected. All right, so let's just do that then. Let's cut out that sentence.
Okay. And then the last part, this isn't necessarily for a change. I just wanted to ask the question on it's letter B, the new number 1, where it says waiver of opening and closing dates. And it says, upon showing a good cause by the statute, the board may seek a waiver of the opening date from the State Board of Education. Is there a time limit on that, Jason, on like how far in advance do we have to seek a waiver, and what constitutes waiver worthy?
Good cause is defined in the statute, and it's limited
Okay.
to weather-related reasons. I'm trying to find it now. Energy shortages, power failures, or other emergency situations. So it's a limited limited waiver. And in terms of deadlines, I would need to check and see if NCDPI has issued any guidance on that. I don't know, Ms. Barnum, or if anyone else on administration knows of that. I'm sure there's a process and a form that DPI has created. I don't know if they've established a particular date when they would need to receive those.
I don't know the date, but I will tell you that I looked at the waiver and I did not, looking at our history, I cannot find a way that we would fit in the waiver.
Okay. No, I'm just,
So
going
I didn't get
forward
that
so we
far,
know.
but I did look at the waiver. The waiver, we did not fit. The last significant weather issue we had was Florence. And if I remember correctly, was it Florence?
Yeah,
Yeah,
4 and 10 years.
But it's not a reoccurring event for us. I could not find a way for us to fit in there, just.
Okay, I'm just looking for clarity.
And typically, you need to have a certain average number of absences due to weather over the course of several years.
Gotcha, okay. All right, that makes sense. And the last question is in the cross-references where it says, the last cross-reference was citizenship and character education, policy 3530. In reading this, I was trying to figure out why that would come into play. Is it because that saying the Pledge of Allegiance is considered scheduled classroom time? Jason, if you know, jump in.
I don't,
Anybody who knows? I'm just curious as to why that was in here as a cross-reference.
Yeah, and I don't know why it's in there either.
But the only thing I could come up with is because it does state
It is
about the pledge.
referenced. That's right, and it is referenced in the School Boards Association model, but
Yeah.
But I don't know why they included that. That could be why, since boards have discretion to determine, to a certain extent, consistent with DPI's student attendance and accounting manual, what counts as instruction for purposes of the instructional day.
What?
Would you want to add
The 22, what's the 22?
the
Oh,
one that you were just mentioning?
oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, I mean, we can leave it, I don't mind.
Just leave
You know,
it.
I think you're
but-
correct. I think you're correct, Ms. Craybill. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for this one, but I think you're correct because we can include that if we choose because it is the Pledge of Allegiance. So it would be, we could add it with the timepiece. So I think that's why it is there.
Yeah, and so that's what I was just thinking.
and then let's add 22, 30.
Yeah, and then, so, yeah, we also should add 2230, board committees. Yeah, good call. And I had that written down, but I couldn't remember why, but, yeah, so let's add that one, since that's where all the language that we removed is now going to be housed.
Okay. So, I guess that would be our last policy. We will move policy 3300, school calendar and time for learning, to the board for amendment. All right. If there be no other business, I guess we can vote. Do I hear a motion to pass as amended policies 2400, 3430, 3610, 4240, 4400, 4720, and 3300?
Well, I would like to break those down in that 4240 and 4720 would go under existing policies for amendment with no changes.
Okay.
And policy 2400, 3430, 3610, 3300, and 4400 would go to the regular meeting with changes.
All right. Is that a motion?
Yes, moved. Oh,
And I will second. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry, I know when we look at, and I'm hoping I'm looking at the accurate policy, 3300, if you look at that last line in section D below, there is no section D. So I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the right policy.
No, she was referencing.
No, I'm
20
talking
I know,
about
there was no
3300.
section D. When she said D, she was referencing 23.
No, it's written in the policy.
It's written in the policy?
Yeah, it's written in the
D
policy.
is? I don't see
Wait.
D.
In
Section D.
2230, it is, you mean about attendance?
Okay, when you look at policy 3300,
Okay,
it's letter B.
Okay.
It says, our requirements established in section D below. Unless I'm looking at the wrong,
I
It's-
think
it's
you're looking
been
at the wrong
changed?
one. I don't see anything that says that.
we don't have that. I'm sorry. There is no. Okay, sorry. We don't have that.
School day.
Okay.
Oh, well, that whole section got taken out. That whole section is struck out.
Okay. We don't have what you have. We're looking at the policy manual.
Okay, sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah, 'cause- yeah,
I just
and-
didn't want you to adopt the policy and we don't have a section for it.
Yeah, so in policy 3300, there were, from the NCSBA, they added in The board, in letter A, they made a lot. Do you want to see it before you make a comment? Okay.
Everything we said, I agree with. I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure we didn't adopt something we didn't have we had an error.
Okay. Yeah, and that's my fault for not having picked that up earlier.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion is agreed to, and the policies will move forward as discussed. The last motion, or the last item on our agenda is adjournment. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
There's a motion. Any further discussion? We are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Shortest meeting on record.
Remember to vote, and have a great day.
Jason, are you still on? No. Dang it. Okay.
No, he's gone.
Okay. Click out of here. So. Look, I've been looking forward at the December 6th agenda, and went by when I was
Tuesday.
it was just all over the place. And so I wanted to talk with you about restructuring that because it was just all over the place.
Okay.
And I wanted to keep it more in line with, we also didn't have all of the changes to the template, so it was just like bing, bing, bing. And so we just need to figure out what is considered official old business that we want the outgoing board
to vote on.
Yes, like I would think these kind of things, like the policy consensus, just get that off. And so somebody could pull one off, if they wanted to, which would happen, and that would go over to the new. And then, good luck, Nelson. And the only other thing that I'm thinking off the top of my head is the calendar, which is technically old business, but it's still kind of new business. So we could move that one over to the second half.
Okay.
So the third thing is around closed session. So if you remember, we went in that back room and got like an hour long, just head spin.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that's necessary at this juncture. Like, let them just soak in.
Well, I think what was happening then was that things were more pending right then, where it's not as
nothing's really happening.
Right. So it'll be different. I think there will be a time to do an update overview, but it doesn't have to be.
I mean, I think January would be because there's nothing happening, unless they were to ask for it, and then we go in there and just start. Not winging, but just talking. But when it comes to, let's say, like the personnel report, they will not have access to it.
We give them a hand copy.
But they're not
just
allowed to do
but we gave all of you a hand copy of everything. No.
No. The personnel report that we would have to approve in consensus items, that they won't have access to see that. So
So what we did is we gave all of you a binder, and all of you had a binder. All the new people had a binder.
That day?
We sent it to you. We gave you I have the binder in the office of everything, and so that's why you got all of these documents that you had to go through because you couldn't have access to it. So we made sure that you had access to like those
so
notes.
with the personnel report for December,
It'll be in the binder form.
But would that be something we vote on? The old board, outgoing board, or would that be something?
We did it with the new board.
Okay.
Yeah, they approved because again, it was in a binder. It wasn't everything that was needed.
Because MOUs they can read.
That they had to make a decision. Yeah, so we just had a binder that we gave to everyone.
So would MOU consensus items?
It would just run as natural, so it goes.
But would that be in the new incoming board section of the meeting? Okay.
Yes.
So the outgoing section basically has hello, all the pleasantries, ceremonials, the recognition, which they're gonna do like a slideshow, and any other recognitions
Right.
that we would have.
And then we have to also consider, because there is a protocol that for the ingoing, outgoing, so we'll make sure that we're following that.
Right.
That protocol that's in there.
So the way Jason was describing it to me was that I am the chair up until the time that I turn it over to you. So, meaning that I am the chair during the oath of office administration.
Right.
And then we
It's there in
take a break.
place.
We take a break and then we come back.
Yes.
And then we just have to be, it's kind of interesting. Well, last time it wasn't already approved because you can't do that, but it was kind of obvious who was going to be the board chair, at that time prior to the vote. So Crystal was able to get, when we came up from the dais, from the after the after the oath, where do they go? Do they just go sit back in the front row until the break, and then after the break, because we were in the audience, and then I don't remember where we stood but we did not go sit down at the table.
No, so what happened was
We have
the
to go
meeting,
somewhere.
I thought the meeting
Recessed.
ended, and they did the celebratory, they all got flowers and they
Right.
left. And then as the individuals took their oath, they came and took their seat. Because once you're giving your oath, you are a board member.
Okay.
So they came and they sat down in
So
seats.
at the recess. Okay, no, okay, so the recess has to be before the oath.
The recess, because then everyone like gets hugging, shaking
Right,
hands, that
right.
type of thing, and they leave. And
So how do we do the seat? I mean, I know I sit
I'll
here.
have to get with
Yeah,
Crystal.
yeah.
I can't make. I mean, honestly.
Well, no, because Stephanie was telling me, I'm just talking out loud. So when I was talking to Stephanie, she already had it arranged, so Crystal knew
Well, that
exactly
was,
what to
and
do.
I wasn't in on that.
Okay, so
That was she and Crystal, because I don't even. I'll be honest with you, it didn't even matter to me where they were sitting. But Crystal and
but the board chair has that
the
prerogative.
chair talk about where they are. So I didn't even know.
Yeah, but that was Adams was already the chair, and it was looking likely that she would remain the chair. In this case, we have no idea.
Right.
So I guess we'll just wait until
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Right. Right. And honestly, once yeah, that's I think probably one of the latter things that because they've got to order name tags and get the.
I mean, because they're probably not, well, we have a month, we have a whole month to do
Right.
that.
Right.
And they don't have to be glued on, they could just be set there.
Well, they will make sure. No, she makes sure that they're all ready to go.
No, I mean, they'll be printed, but we don't know where they're gonna sit, because the board
Right.
chair gets to make that assignment. The new board chair gets to make that assignment. Yeah, I mean, so, I mean, that's how Crystal said it worked, which is like, yeah.
And I guess my thing is
It doesn't, no, for you it doesn't matter, you don't change.
right.
And so I'm gonna be moved, somewhere, obviously. And so will this chair will, and also too, I was talking to Crystal, is that the vice chair doesn't have to sit over here. The vice chair can sit on the other side of you.
Right.
Doesn't,
Up to
but
wherever the placement is.
it's whatever the board chair wants. I mean, it didn't matter to me. So, okay. But yeah, but that one was just kind of like, it was all over the board, and we had 2 closed sessions and 2 recognitions, and it's like, we don't need all that.
That was a long meeting.
It was way too long. I mean, and we did have some, tough things to talk about, but it was just too much stuff. The new board doesn't need to come in and start.
Almost 1 o'clock.
We left at like 1 o'clock. I know, that's like trying to get away from that. So another interesting, are we still on?
Probably.
Anita, are we still on? Oh, that's what we're doing. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. All righty, well, I guess we'll see you soon.
Okay, Anita, I'll just take my water. Yes, yes. I don't know why I'm so dehydrated in the mornings. Like I hydrate all day.
I think
I drink so much water.
we drank so much water,
Yeah.
walked at least, 10 miles at Disney World.
And I don't know, I think it's the minute my cuticles are dry, it's like, maybe it's the change in
The atmosphere, yeah, who
like,
knows?
what in the world? Like,
What in the world?
well, get some rest to have
Yeah,
fun.
no, I'll do, oh, and then just wanted to let you know is I am.
You are. Okay. Okay.
Stays in the 30
So it's gonna go away from 30.
all of it. All of it.
I'll be an hour and 15 minutes south, and you guys will be fine. You wanna go next door, you wanna try to check? Yeah, but it sounds like it was like, Will Smith. He came up with a bunch of guys, you got done. I'm going to the championship. It goes from like this is nothing. Thing on my back, I hold paddle. By the front door, I thought. You're in charge of the unemployed man. You know that. How come you always keep doing the crappy stuff? It's gonna get beat up. Here, Barnes, do the culture and profit committee. Everybody loves it. Here, do the unemployed man. I think the most important.
I got great practice.
Listen, do I need to? Do I need to be able to explain Yeah, why don't you put that on pause and see how it Take a shower today, lunchtime. You need us to move? Okay, I'll need to break down a little bit, but you're okay. All right, thanks.
So in other words, you don't have to go home, you can stay here.
But can we go home?
Yes, I heard the specific language you used.
I'll get you clarity on Tuesday. I'll send an email and an email. Hers is a lot smaller. I'll see that.
We banned international for a long time too. That was a long time ago. Oh, yes. We're just sad. It's like, is the okay, thanks. What? Give each other permission. Yeah. That was last year though.
Yeah, but that's why when I heard that.
Don't call me. Anyone that are a year old.
So you look at.
I will, okay.
Sometimes our job feels like it's